What's up everyone? In this video I want to share with you some of the major ways that you can get your company or your business into one that's somewhat desired but not really, and no one really cares about you, to a business where people actually want to choose you and you're no longer a commodity that's competing on price, which is always a difficult thing to compete on. For example, if you're a commodity business, you're just competing on price, and eventually your competitors will just keep underpricing you until they drive you out of business, or your customers just don't care. They don't care if it's you or that other company or that other company. You all look the same. Think of like a salt company, a napkin company, or a security guard company, or a pencil company. Those are commodity-based businesses. So what can you do to do better? So I learned this from studying a lot of businesses, as well as reading books by people like Seth, Godin, and just it's more so just like observing good businesses. The first thing is you can cut down something that is a huge pain or obstacle to a lot of people. You cut down the amount of time the customer has to wait or do something. And you want to zero in on the things that are of most pain to a customer. So customer service is often a big one, as well as delivery. So Amazon.com is a great example of a company that's done this. They have made shipping very easy. Another thing would be any type of service where it really burns or it's painful to wait. So another example would be something like Uber. You don't want to wait for a taxi. We want it as fast as possible, because time, we all have limited time. So why I emphasize the pain is because there's some things that we don't mind waiting for as much, and it doesn't matter as much. And for that, we're not willing to pay. So an example of this would be maybe waiting an extra minute or 2 minutes for just something that you don't really care that much about. Maybe it's you at the grocery stores, or you're trying to buy some ice cream or an eraser. A great example of something where you really want to cut down the wait time is probably the Fast Pass at Disney World. So it's self-explanatory. The Fast Pass costs more, and it's a pass, and you get a second line, and it's a lot shorter, and you don't have to wait while you go and ride rides at the amusement parks in Disney World and Disneyland. And anyone who's been there, they know that you literally spend like half the day waiting in lines. It's literally like a 30-60 minute wait, which is ridiculous, and it pisses people off. And they literally even have like electric signs outside that tell you how long the wait time is. So outside of cutting down the wait time, what else can you do? Customer service is a big one. It's one of the reasons Zappos is so great. And you want to tackle those areas where it's such a huge pain. So probably the most apparent right now would be Comcast cable. People hate the customer service, or lack thereof, and the huge infrastructure. So that's why I think Google Fiber is really stepping up. There's been a lot of news about how its customer service and its everything is just so great, and it's taking a very strategic, slow, town by town approach that is really just building up a lot of buzz, and they're doing it right by really laying the groundwork to create an infrastructure that has great customer service from the get-go, rather than this ridiculous stuff that Comcast is doing and other internet companies. And I've experienced all of this myself, from Disney World to Comcast, where you're waiting in line for like an hour on the phone, and they keep transferring you, and everyone there seems to be pissed off. Another common, here's a great idea. I think the DMV is another huge area, as well as any type of like visa or nationality certification place. the lines and the bureaucracy and the forms you have to fill out, they're just ridiculous. Like, even if you're like a highly wealthy individual, you can't pay to expedite that process. Even if you're willing to pay $1,000, because for a businessman, 1 day worth of time is worth like a lot of money. So that's a great market for someone to get into. Maybe they can start their own Google DMV center that could cut down that time, and people would be willing to pay immensely and knock down the door for your business and your business alone. Now, the final thing you can do to have high demand, I mean, there's a ton of things, but I just want to highlight some of the major ones, is over-deliver in your service or goods to the point of the highest level of quality, not your subjective biased opinion quality, but based off the total aggregate average of your customers coming in. And then doing the exact opposite, which is exemplifying the long wait time and so forth. So how does that work? You're doing the opposite. You're increasing or exaggerating, or at least being okay with the wait time. Well, here's a few great solid examples. Pretty much any 5-star exquisite restaurant service. When people see a line out the door for a restaurant versus a very empty restaurant where the people, the employees look kind of desperate and they're begging you to come in, which restaurant do you think you're going to choose? Probably the popular one. And that kind of hinges on the fact that it also has to over-deliver. So if it's an equally crappy restaurant in terms of food quality and service, you know, you're going to die out eventually. So I think it's a different frame, but it builds off the whole idea of social proof, scarcity, reputation, quality, and all of those things combined. And that's why certain services, whether it's like a specific chef or a personal coaching service or whatever, where you really have that quality that can be exemplified and backed up by reviews on Yelp or just like word of mouth referral, and you have that line out the door, or everyone knows that it's an 8-month reservation process to even be considered for your service. They do this also, let's just say you don't want to get into the food or restaurant business or coaching, or because coaching, like you know, you don't want to, that one's a bit tough. It's subjective and people think they're good but they're not. There's also a lot of things that follow this. A great one would be something like watches or just like premium stuff. Some motorcycles and watches, you have to order it like 2 or 3 years in advance, and people will do it because they know that it's on such a high level quality. Like some of these like motorcycles and watches out there, just one sells for hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like we're talking brands like Harley Davidson. So they can do that because the demand is there. They can show that off, which increases demand because of the scarcity, and they follow up with the quality. So those are just a few examples that I've picked up. Again, I'm not saying I'm a master of business or anything, but I just wanted to throw out a few ideas that might help spur your creativity. Of course, I'm still learning too, and all these ideas are subject to change based off my future discoveries and knowledge. So hopefully it helped, and hopefully you like this background of cows next to me. I think that's why I filmed it here. It's pretty cool.